welcome to QI. Tonight we're all going to be pretty infantile. Playing mummies and daddies tonight are Daddy Cool, Dave Gorman, Yummy Mummy, Ronnie Ancona, Happy Pappy Lee Mack, and the curse of the mummy's tomb, Alan Davies. So, why don't you give me a ring sometime? Dave goes... Ronnie goes... Lee goes... and Alan goes...
For sales inquiries, press 1. For service, press 2. For 2 hours of irritating music, press 3. For more options, press 4. For fewer options, press 5. To speak to one of our operatives, emigrate to Mumbai.
Thank you, Alan. Now, don't forget your nobody knows joker.
Nobody knows.
Yes, there may be a question tonight to which the true answer is that nobody knows. And if you can play your nobody knows joker, you get extra points. Your ignorance might indeed be bliss. So here's an intimate question to start with. What did the Pope's father say to the baker's daughter? Who is the current Pope?
Is German, is he?
Ratzenberger.
Ratzinger. Josef
yes.
Ratzinger was born in Germany, as we know he's a German Pope. And there he is. That's him on the right with those killer eyes that he still has.
Some would say the far right.
Yes. And his father, too, was called Josef. So Josef Ratzinger Sr. married a baker's daughter. That's the mother in the middle. The question is, how did they meet?
On the interweb.
Yes. It was the equivalent...
Speed dating. They were speed dating.
Before the interweb and speed dating, there were...
Singles ads.
Singles ads.
Would like to meet, good sense of humour.
Absolutely. This is what the Pope's father, Josef Ratzinger, who was a Bavarian policeman, wrote. He wrote, middle-ranking civil servant, single, Catholic, that's a relief, 43, immaculate past, from the country, is looking for a good Catholic pure girl who can cook well, tackle all household chores, with a talent for sewing and homemaking, with a view to marriage as soon as possible. He added, fortune desirable but not a precondition. He was 43, she was 36. She was called Maria Peitner. They met up at a coffee house and were married 4 months later.
Life was simple then, wasn't it?
Life was simple then.
That was not so much a singles ad, but more a job.
Yes.
It would be great if the Pope actually had an entry himself in the Lonely Hearts column, because then it would be something like, single guy, likes to wear a dress, drives a slow forklift truck, expects you to kiss his ring.
E-Y-T-K-H-R. That would be, wouldn't it? E-Y-T...
That's because they've got abbreviations. Haven't they got abbreviations,
I
like
have a list of
abbreviations
abbreviations to test you on, to see how much you use these singles and wanted ads and Craigslist and similar. So, D/D, what would that be?
A divorced deviant?
Nice idea.
Does it stand for large breasts?
Maybe perhaps quite... Oh, I see, double... Oh, yeah.
You've got a nice name.
Not quite my area of expertise, but I do understand that.
Drunk and disorderly.
Yeah.
No, it actually means drug and disease-free.
Is it?
Yes. In the code of these things, yeah.
If you feel it necessary to put that, it's just going to raise suspicions.
NK?
No
Massive
knickers.
knockers. Sorry, them.
Massive knockers.
NK.
Yeah, no, he's no kids. WE?
Weekends.
That would be nice, but I'm afraid it's a little bit more physical than that.
Well endowed.
Yes!
Just put that, wouldn't you? Just put well endowed and the box number.
Possibly ALAWP might be the thing to do with WE.
A large
All
wavy
letters
penis.
answered.
All letters answered, sorry.
All letters answered. ALAWP. All letters answered with
A penis.
photo.
Sorry, photo.
Yeah, Dave is earning points. Absolutely.
You know,
You know a lot about this stuff.
He does. Yes.
Colin.
IPT. So you might get, for instance, IPT BBW.
Big-breasted woman.
Oh, so you know BBW. Very good. Very good. Is partial to.
Right. Yes.
IPT BBW is partial to.
I don't know if this is going to help me or not, but some of these acronyms are shared by the world of pornography. So you can take your pick as to how I know them. It's either from Lonely Hearts or from porn.
That's right, yeah.
Which would you rather we
I'm going to
assume your
leave you
knowledge
guessing,
comes
Ronnie. I'm
from?
going to leave you guessing.
So what would be the WESHM WLTM BBW for NSA Fun.
Does that stand for...
No strings attached fun.
Very good, Dave. NSA is...
a big-breasted woman.
Yes, so WE...
Well endowed.
Well endowed.
SHM. H is an ethnic type in America in particular.
Hispanic.
Yeah.
Brilliant. So it's well-endowed, single Hispanic male. WLTM.
Would like to meet.
Like to meet.
BBW.
Big-breasted woman.
Big blue
For
whale.
NSA Fun.
For no strings attached fun.
Exactly. A big
Which is when you're into
box.
puppetry, but of the glove puppet variety, not...
Exactly. That's a sweet way of looking at it.
Absolutely.
Presumably we're charged by the letter in newspapers, so that's why...
To save money.
To save money, but you don't need that on the internet, do you? You could say, I have an enormous dong. You don't have to go WE, do you?
Tiny testicles.
BTT.
In fact, it's actually an average-sized dong, but the testicles make it look enormous. It's just a trick of the light.
It's
They're
only,
like ball bearings, they rattle.
it's only the top of the show. Let's try and swim to the surface
Glad we set a
before
tone.
we hit the depths. Yeah.
Man gasping for air seeks BBW.
Well, there used to be in San Francisco in the late 70s, there was a handkerchief code in the gay
Oh, yeah, I've
community.
heard about this.
Yes. You know,
The yellow one.
It was also which back pocket.
Oh,
it was
what's
in.
that?
If it was left, it was passive. If it was right, it was active.
What did it mean if you
So it was you had a yellow...
put it on your head?
That meant you were a homosexual from up north.
That's right, you're on Blackpool from the Golden Mile. But no, if you had yellow in your back left pocket, it meant you like being peed on.
And what does it mean if you wear a yellow thing round your neck, hanging down?
I like the idea of someone going to a club and he's got the yellow hanky and everyone else thinks, ugh, weirdo.
I like the idea of a group of Morris dancers going on a trip to San Francisco. Sending off very mixed signals wherever they go.
Yeah, we used to, honestly, in the 70s, there used to be cards. You go to a shop in Castro, in the district in San Francisco, and there would be these little laminated cards telling you the code so you didn't make a mistake.
They'd have to be laminated.
Well, all right, I don't know how this conversation has gone in this direction. But anyway, the Pope's parents met through a Lonely Hearts ad. What did the Viceroy of India's daughter like doing with flibbity flop and jumpkins?
If they're not rabbits, then something's amiss.
They do sound like rabbits, don't they? Flibbity flop and jumpkins.
Are they body parts?
They're not body parts.
And who are we talking about?
She was the daughter of one of the viceroys of India. In the days of the Raj, a man would be appointed viceroy, i.e. vice-king of India. The last one was Lord Mountbatten before, so, you know, the independence of India. And this man was called Lord Lytton, and his daughter Emily was quite an extraordinary Victorian figure. And she eventually ended up marrying Lutyens, the architect. He designed most of New Delhi. The huge pink palaces and things of New Delhi were Lutyens, and that's him there as an older man. And that's Emily X. Lytton. Anyway,
He looks like she's just told a really dirty joke.
This Flippity Flop and Jumpkins, she had an evening playing Flippity Flop and Jumpkins, and I'm going to ask Ronnie to read out how she described her evening of Flippity Flop and Jumpkins.
I assure you, no words can picture either the intense excitement or the noise. I almost scream in describing it.
She could be in the room. There you are. This was a description of when she was 17 years old. She played this game, which was alternately known as Flippity Flop or Jumpkins, but has a much better name.
Tiddlywinks.
Yes! That was weird. You both said it at the same time. Absolutely brilliant. And I will give you each a little cup. It was originally called Tiddledewinks. For some reason, the second dip got dropped, so we call it Tiddlywinks. Just try hitting it into the target there, you see.
So we have to try and get it in the hole?
Yeah, you have the big one, and you have the little one is called a wink.
Is this called the squidger?
I think I went too hard.
It's...
Surely if that's called the wing, this must be called the tiddly.
You'd think so.
Right.
But I do give a point to you for knowing it's called a squidger.
Off the lip.
It's meant to be. It's yellow and green versus red and blue. And they do have lots of different... there's a squop.
Yes.
And a boondock. And my favourite move, there is a move, an official sort of the language of Tiddlywinks is they have a thing called the good move.
Right.
And the good move is not called that because it's a good move, it's named after John Good.
Oh, how wonderful.
And so it's named for him.
But the squop, you're right, is one of the most basic things. And what is a squop?
A squop is where you're trying to tiddle your wink so that it lands on top of somebody else's wink.
Exactly. And
yes.
if you're wink...
I can see why you're using those Lonely Hearts columns there. How'd you get the lift?
No, you get the lift, actually, to be honest, we're not giving you... Oh, God. You have to play on felt or baize, and then it works beautifully.
Because then you've got some purchase.
On a card table, yeah.
This is my ideal gig, where I come on QI, but I don't have to talk, I just have to play Tiddlywinks.
It's great. Oh,
Now, like this.
You can't get the lift!
I had a brilliant lift there. You've ruined
Talking of
You said
the
one.
good move, which is named after Jonathan Good.
Yeah.
Do you know what a page ranking is? This is sort of similar. You know, in Google terms, they have a page
Oh, yes,
ranking.
absolutely, yes.
And do you know why it's called a page ranking?
Yes!
No. So,
I'm going to point out, I honestly thought you knew the answer to Dave's question.
No.
Finally, I've got one. I know why.
So are you telling me that actually a page ranking is not because it's a web page, but it's somebody called
it's named
Page?
after Larry Page.
Oh, it is?
Founders of
Of
Google.
course.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to hand out some more toys, so there's even more fun to be had.
Quite.
I ought to tell you, the winner gets the teddy bear. Well, the fluffy toy, shall I
Got
say.
to be joking.
Oh, you've really raised the stakes
You will
now.
get the fluffy toy. We'll start with Dave.
Okay.
OK. Good luck. Oh! Oh!
Something in
Ronnie,
the
come on,
foreground.
for the pride of it.
Come on,
Just got a bit of dirt in my pocket.
let's have a read.
Attention! Oh!
Did you see that?
I saw it. I was there.
I saw it.
I was there.
Oh, he'll be unbearable.
It's all right, he's already unbearable.
I was,
And he'll get unbearable.
I was only joking, but I've got my own dirty mags in the dressing room.
Don't let him
Watch
get
out for the
it.
bloke.
Don't let him get it.
And you get the fluffy toy. And here it is.
Oh, it's like the fairground.
Yeah.
It's like the
I never said you'd be that.
Oh, it's like the
I never said. No,
Anything off the bottom, anything off the bottom.
Yes. If Lee was a nice man, he'd give that to you, Ronnie. But
That's true. I would.
congratulations, Lee.
Thank you very much.
Bullseye 25. So, OK, why did they ban rifle ranges inside pubs in Birmingham? Yes.
Was it common sense?
You think so, but no, that wasn't the reason.
Price of ammunition.
No. We're talking about the early 20th century, when it suddenly became very important to have soldiers who were good at firing rifles. Why was that?
Because of the war.
The Boer War,
Right.
exactly. And so they started having rifle ranges in pubs.
Adds a new dimension to getting around in, doesn't it?
It does. And Birmingham was the very centre of the world's gun making, you know, BSA and other such rifle companies. And so all these pubs would have rifle ranges inside the pubs, sometimes literally inside. You'd fire over the heads of customers at targets. But they banned it. And I want to know the reason why they banned it.
Well, not
What?
just because there was an accidental death or something.
No. No, the answer is not what you might say today, which is health and safety. It was another more puritanical reason, in a way.
Either that picture's been mocked up or they are really casual, those days.
No, they still exist. There are still pubs with rifle ranges in them. In Devizes and Oswestry and places like that, they actually have pubs that still have rifle ranges. There's one there. You pull away the centre part of the bucket, and there's a tunnel, and you fire through it. There's a target at the end.
Somewhere in the world, there's a giant dog with stitches in his neck looking for that.
A very small neck.
Yeah.
Because people were gambling on it.
Yes, Dave Gorman, you're absolutely right. That's the weird thing about Britain, and they didn't care about the fact live rounds were being fired over people's heads. It was the fact that it caused gambling.
Is that why they introduced the curtain over the scoreboard?
Yes, to hide
It's like the British version of a speakeasy.
Beautiful curtain it is, and immaculately measured.
it. But one Worcester pub, until quite recently, you'd shoot from a bar across a passageway and into an outhouse. And some teams still shoot in the open bar. We've got Swindon, Devizes, Newport, Hinckley and Nuneaton, Worcestershire, still have pubs with rifle ranges in them. There you are. Isn't that quite interesting?
Very interesting. Yeah.
Oh, that's probably more than we were hoping for. Otherwise it'd be called VI. It's only quite interesting.
They did try to ban darts at one point because of gambling as well, because it was deemed a game of chance. And I think it was in Leeds, and it went to the magistrate, and the landlord of a pub who wanted to keep his dartboard brought in the sort of local expert and made him play and demonstrate that it was actually a game of skill, because it was just seen, the idea was you were just sort of hitting the board like a fairground sort of game,
right.
and it was whatever you happened to hit was your score, and it was, well done, you were lucky. And then he came along and hit a few treble 20s when asked, and they sort of proved it was a game of skill.
Oh, that's very good. There are lots of pub games, of course. I'm sure you've played pub games in your time. You may be familiar with some of them.
Too busy drinking.
Of course. But see if you can explain the rules of milking crummock, Hankin canst abide it, or laugh and lie down.
Laugh and lie down, that is a box full of rehypnol.
No. No. That's not...
I think we cover those anyway.
Yeah, it's,
Well, milking crommock, I would have thought that's a card game.
well, we know that Laugh and Lie Down and Hannikin Can't Abide It were card games.
Oh, so I managed to get the only one that isn't a card
Yes. Well, possibly, because the time has now passed. Oh, just in time! Nobody knows is the answer. Nobody knows. Yes.
Nobody knows.
Extra points for Dave. The fact is, we only know these games exist because they're on lists of games that have been banned. So that there is statute that says it is illegal to play Milking Crommock, Hannikin Canst Abide It, or Laugh and Lie Down. And all you can do as a games historian is look at it and try and work out. But there is some evidence that those were card games.
That's great. I love the idea of a barman just going, Hey, are you playing Milking Crop now?
But there are some we do know.
Two blokes running down the pub with just one card going...
Obviously, there are dice and card games and dominoes, but there were games called Guile Bones, Noddy Board, Penny Prick, Hide Under Hat.
Hide under hat, that'd be a great game. I like it, it's self-explanatory.
It is, really.
You need
It is.
a massive hat or a small person.
Both, really.
Yeah.
But in 1938, a priest wrote to the Times complaining that there was a pub where they had on the billiard tables tortoise races with little toy jockeys on top.
The jockeys that makes it lovely.
I know, it's so sweet.
These giant tortoises are real jockeys.
Well, they shouldn't they? If only they had. That was in Weymouth. Competitive smoking was very popular.
Come on.
Well, see if you can...
It's a bit smug.
Yeah.
He's a champion.
It still exists. It still exists. You obviously now have to do it in an outside place or a smoking shelter. But who would win a smoking competition?
I guess the first person to finish the pipe.
No, the last person to finish the pipe. It's
Yes.
keeping the pipe alight for longest.
Oh,
It's like a
real
polo
skill.
mix competition.
It's how you pack the tobacco into the pipe and then how few puffs you take at it so you don't burn it down.
And you're telling
Some
me
people
this
for
didn't...
hours.
And this didn't become a televised sport?
I know, it's shocking. I know, terribly exciting. But it still exists. You have competitive smoking.
Wow.
So there are other games we can think of. And there was an ancestor of darts, you may be familiar with, a Belgian game, called Oisé-Piqué in the French Belgian, or Struifvogelspel. And there it is. You use a duck, and the duck has the sharp beak. It's rather weird. It's tied on the end of a line. It's a bit peculiar. You swing the bird round on a cord until the beak gets stuck in the board.
That'd be a good thing for a murder in Midsummer Murder.
Wouldn't it? Actually, that would be brilliant.
It's a good plot there.
Yeah.
Is that the dartboard?
Yeah, we can see the back of it. You swing that round, and wherever the duck's beak lands is...
She doesn't want to play. He's making her play.
Yeah, there was a betting game in pubs, which was rather distressing, called lark singing, which was very popular in Britain, but also particularly on the continent. And the one whose lark stopped singing last won all the money. And there was this terrible belief that if you blinded the lark, it would sing more. And there was a campaign to stop the blinding of larks, which was led by World War I blinded veterans.
And some larks.
Which is where they knew that being blind wasn't a lark, exactly. Yeah. But that was, unfortunately, a popular sport. Humanity has often been very cruel.
I don't know why this reminds me of it, but there was an old variety act. Used to have a dancing duck on his piano. And he'd play the piano, an upright piano, and there'd be a duck that would just dance, and he'd just play a tune, and the duck would dance. And then they worked out he had a hot plate in the top of the piano, and it was triggered by him playing the thing. So when he started playing it, it heated up, and then the duck would have to sort of...
Oh, that is awful.
Yes, yeah. And there's a magician who's still working, I think, in Spain, who does a trick where there's a goldfish tank on top of a load of face-up cards.
Yeah.
And he forces a card on you, and then his goldfish selects your card by swimming to it. And he's basically sewn a little magnet into the goldfish, and he moves his knees under the table and directs it to...
Lord.
Yeah, I know. The entertainment world is cruel with animals.
It is, isn't it? Anyway, the fact is the rules of milking Cromwell are lost forever, but it doesn't matter because we're not allowed to play it anyway. The most popular entertainment venue in the world used to be the Coney Island Amusement Park in New York. What was its longest-running attraction?
Is it an elephant?
No.
Sort of bearded woman, or...
No.
Lots of that kind of thing.
Was it a bearded elephant?
There was one particular woman who came to see this every week for all the 37 years that it was
Cliff
on the
Richard.
show. No, you don't know. It was not what you might call usual entertainment. It's very...
Cliff Richard.
No. I'm trying to framing this, to which Cliff Richard isn't the answer. This is a really peculiar, unlikely... No, that's not going to be... This is not what you'd associate with entertainment. No, that's not.
Barry Manilow.
What about it's something you go and see on your summer holiday? No, that doesn't
Oh, I'm just going to have to tell you, it was children in incubators. The infant incubator with living infants. Premature children were put in incubators, there they were, and the public would come and see them. They'd pay a quarter, 25 cents.
Was there a grabbing hand?
You are an evil man.
It's an Angelina Jolie pick and mix.
It does seem really weird to us, but the fact is it was a recent invention. It was invented in 1880, and no hospitals had them in America. It was a French invention, and the French inventor went round trying to persuade people they were a good idea. And this park thought, at Coney Island, what a great thing to do. We'll get all the premature babies that are born in New York, we'll send them to the incubator, put them in the incubator, people can come and look at them and watch them thrive. And indeed they did thrive.
Just warm air?
Yeah, it's a ventilated, sealed-off area.
So
This must have been laid open for abuse by pushy stage school mothers who were desperate to get their kids into... Get into the incubator, Lorelei! Go on, get into the incubator. But, Mom, I'm 11, so squidge up a little. And if someone comes to look at you, do your shuffle 3-step.
If someone was 7 months and their waters broke, Were they then being driven to the fun fair instead of the hospital to be near?
Yes, because the hospital didn't have any incubators.
Yeah.
It was only when, in 1940, that the New York City Hospital invested in incubators that they kind of went out of business as an attraction. It seems utterly weird to us, but it was the longest-running attraction at Coney Island. Anyway, staying with our infancy theme, here's a parenting poser. Eleanor Roosevelt considered herself a very modern mother. Where did she keep her baby?
Oh, in a drawer, probably.
It's almost as weird. It was a fad in the 1930s.
Was it permanently attached to her in one of those things, what they called papoose things?
No, that would be fairly normal. We would consider this weird now. In New York, space is at a premium. It's obviously a limited amount of space in Manhattan, hence the skyscrapers and so on. And where do you put your baby? Well, hang it out the window in a cage. The baby cage. It caught on for a while.
Was this the question that Michael Jackson was trying to answer?
Yes, it is a bit disturbing, the baby cage. But there were 12 of them in Poplar in London. They died out during the Blitz, because obviously they're not suitable for the Blitz. Eleanor Roosevelt got severely criticised for it. She was very upset. She recalled, it was rather a shock to me, for I thought I was being a very modern mother. But you can get extra points if you can tell me Eleanor Roosevelt's maiden name. Before she married FDR, she was Eleanor what?
Rigby.
Both said at the same time. No, she wasn't.
Roosevelt.
Yes! Well done!
Oh,
she was Eleanor Roosevelt. Very good. She was the niece of President Teddy Roosevelt, who was a fifth cousin of the man she married, Franklin Delano Roosevelt. So there's no incest involved. Fifth cousin is a long way away. It's just an amazing coincidence.
Do you think she actually changed her name? No, seriously, do you think she actually went and said, right, I'm now officially changing my name? Because you're not officially then got the same name. You've got the same name, but it's not the same as registering it as a changed name. Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I'm saying?
Well, you should be
The reason I asked, do you know what I mean? Because I'm not sure I do.
No, I was going to say...
Do you see what I mean?
I sort of know what you mean. That she missed out. She missed out on the excitement. Nobody knows what you mean. She missed out on the excitement of saying, I'm not going to try out my new name. Maybe she might have written her signature in a different way. Now, describe the miraculous secret machinery that the Chamberlain family used for delivering babies for 100 years.
Was it the, what's that thing called that you suck a baby out with?
What?
The Ventouse.
Ventouse.
They
No,
invented the
that was
Ventouse.
after. That was after.
later.
So it must be.
No, this was
forceps.
Yes.
Forceps.
Yes, they invented the forceps, and they realised how brilliant they were, but they were terrified. This was in the 17th, 18th century, round about, for 100 years. There were no patenting laws, so anybody could have copied it. And so what they would do is they would go into a house with this huge box covered in a cloth, and so we've got our secret device here. They would go up, they would blindfold the mother.
She's not going 1, 2, 3. Coming!
No one else was allowed in the room, and then they'd play all these sound effects to make it seem as if it was an extraordinary piece of machinery. Yeah. And then they would get out. Here's an early... they're pretty disturbing, but there they are. I'm sure that's forceps. There they are. But for literally 100 years, they kept their secret by disguising this simple device.
Then they'd get them out and smirk at a barbecue, just turning things up. Nobody knows! Nobody knows!
Now, epidurals. Do you know when the epidural was first devised?
I would say
1960.
He died in 1949. He was a man called August Beer. And he first had this idea that if you put painkiller into the spine itself, then anything below the pain signals wouldn't get there. So he tried on an assistant. He injected his assistant's lower spine with cocaine, which is a topical anaesthetic.
She fell over and said it worked.
It was a he. It was a he.
They laughing like that?
Yeah. He then...
Could have been worse. They could have then played Milk and Craddock.
Yes. Well, he almost did. He made sure the area was numb by pulling the man's pubic hair, yanking his testicles.
And he said, Anakin can't survive it!
He hit him in the legs with a hammer and singed his thighs with a cigar. And sure enough, the assistant felt no pain. So that is how the epidural came
He never
to
walked
be.
again, but he...
He was somewhat bruised. The first woman in history to have a baby under an anaesthetic, which was chloroform. She was so thrilled by the painlessness of the experience, she named her baby...
Not chloroform.
Not chloroform, no, anaesthesia.
That's quite a nice name. It's like
Anesthesia.
semolina and tapioca.
Yeah.
It does sound like the most boring dinner party guest ever. Oh, anaesthesia's coming. Oh. Not again.
There were... I mean, there are stories about this. It's hard to know quite how true it is. There were biblical objections to the idea of chloroform being administered to women in childbirth. Do you know why?
Because pain is good for them.
Well, there's a very specific reference in the Bible. It's right at the beginning. Do you remember Eve gets Adam into a bit of trouble by making him eat the fruit? And
Yes.
God says, no, you ate the fruit of the tree whereof I spake thou shouldst not eat. And to the woman, he says...
You will marry Tom Cruise.
No, unto the woman he said, I will greatly multiply thy sorrow and thy conception. In sorrow shalt thou bring forth children.
Yes.
So it's as if God cursed women to have pain. So some ultra-religious people felt that it was basically God's curse and they should scream in agony while giving birth. But then Queen Victoria had one of her children, Prince Leopold, was born when she had chloroform, and then the habit caught on, and then the epidural and various other such things.
I didn't know Victoria had a Prince Leopold.
Yes, she did, yes, I know. She had 9 children, I think.
They were all named after pubs.
Yeah.
Ding, very nice. Excellent. Here's another intimate little secret for you. How can you tell a French baby from a German baby? Yes, Veronica.
A German baby will have wrapped itself in a towel before the midwife has even had a chance to fetch it. French...
It's not often you can do the same joke twice in one show, but it's the German baby on the far right.
Is there a difference in cry?
They
have an accent.
Yes.
No.
German
Yes.
accent.
It's not an accent exactly, it's a melodic cadence. In the womb, the baby is hearing its mother tongue, and different languages have different stresses and cadences and, as it were, melodies, and you can actually do tests in which someone will say, that's a German baby, that's a French baby, just by its gurgle. In the womb, it's heard the language. And not only that, they actually like their mother tongue. You show them videos, and there's someone speaking in a language that isn't the language their mother and father speak, and someone else speaking in their own mother tongue, and they will stare at the ones in their mother tongue. Even it's not their parents, it's someone else. They actually are drawn to it, so they pick up on the rhythms very early on.
Glaswegian baby says, get me out of that bloody cage!
That's great. It is fascinating that early on, just in the womb, they've picked up on the rise and fall, the melodic cadences of their mother tongue. I think that's rather sweet.
Yeah, beautiful.
I think it's beautiful too. So there you are, yes. How long do the best hugs last?
20 seconds.
That's a very long hug. I would start getting embarrassed and restless if someone hugged me for 20 seconds.
Do you want to test that?
Yeah.
Do you want to test that?
Yeah, no, please. Oh, hello. Here we go.
That was lovely. Yep. I'm on the clock. That was, I'm on the clock. Yep, I'm on the clock. That was... Oh, God, this is too long. It is really bad. It is really bad.
Too long.
It is really bad.
Oh, we're embarrassed
Did
now.
you say I'm on the clock?
On the clock.
And lovely. That's got to be at least 20 seconds, and that was embarrassing.
That was very uncomfortable.
Yeah, no,
See if you can beat it.
Oh, God!
Oh, that's lovely, lovely. I've been waiting years to do this.
Well, if you like jogging and playing Sydney Winks, and sod the lot.
Right. That was lovely. That was unusual. I wasn't expecting that response, but it was charming. You're both very, very nice aftershave, by the way.
Hang on, do you want your watch back?
Would you like my aftershave?
I certainly did.
Gorgeous aftershave. Now, there have been tests. It seems weird.
4 or 5 seconds.
Well, 3 seems to be the answer.
3 is the perfect time, you mean? Or...
It seems to be that there is a kind of inbuilt human moment, which is 3 seconds. If it's less than 3 seconds, it really is a bit kind of... Well, that wasn't really a proper hug. If it's 2... 1, 2, 3, that's nice. It's just actually a rhythm that seems to be built in to the human race. This 3-second period is known as a moment, and it happens in a lot of the things we do. Don't say it.
I just can't wait for my great aunt to come round and give me a hug. It's all very nice, and I'll go, it's 4 seconds, you bitch. Next time you'll keep it tight or you don't come in.
I think what spoils a hug is when the other person goes, and break.
Yes. Well, have you heard of the 5-second rule?
Food.
Yes, what is it?
This is where if you drop food on the floor, it's OK to eat it if you pick it up within 5 seconds.
Right, and do you believe that?
No, it's nonsense,
Yes,
obviously.
it is, of course, completely nonsense. It could be OK after 5 minutes. It just depends on whether the floor is contaminated.
Yeah.
And, of course, human beings tend to, if you drop chocolate or a biscuit, people will say pick it up and eat it easily. But if it's broccoli or cabbage or something, they go, oh. That, with a big splat like that, though, you just think, no, I probably won't worry. But do you eat food off the floor? I mean, if you drop food...
As a rule, I do.
No, not...
Is this what you do at speed dating? You eat food off the floor. Move on. You eat food off the floor. Move on. You've got a yellow hanky. Perfect.
It was a presumption. It wasn't you. It was like you
You eat food off the floor.
Yeah.
Slightly not you.
She's
Great
quite
one.
disgusting.
That's not a yellow hanky, it's a white hanky. I've just cleaned that up. Thank you very much.
I think once you've got a baby, food on the floor really
least
is
of your
fair
worries.
game.
Well,
If
exactly.
you didn't eat food off the floor, you're wasting about 90 quid a week.
Now, buzz when you know what's so damn interesting about this photograph. Yes.
You said damn interesting.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, what is it that's interesting?
Yes, I've got it, yes.
It's a dam,
It's
yeah.
got the goats walking across.
There are goats walking in it.
Just a little one there.
There.
There. They scale...
Oh,
Why-
yes!
Now, why would they do that?
That is pretty impressive.
That is
Yeah.
pretty
You've got to admit,
impressive.
do you know what kind of goat that is?
An ibex.
It's an ibex. It's an alpine ibex. An extraordinary thing. I mean, this is a south-facing dam in Italy, the Cintino Dam, and to get a salt lick, they walk on what is an almost sheer rock surface. Isn't it amazing, though?
Have their little, have their hoofs sort of adapted?
Well, you can see there's a better thing there. Yes, I mean, they are.
Are they clothed?
Ibexes, like all goats, are incredibly sure-footed. And they're alpine, and they can scramble up rock faces and things like that. But it's astonishing.
Do they fall off sometimes?
I hope not. I doubt it. I mean, wow.
It's a kebab stand at the bottom.
That's terrible and believable at the same time.
Occasionally one does fall off.
Do you know what the Pyrenean ibex... This is the alpine ibex. This is in northern Italy. But do you know what the Pyrenean ibex did in the noughties, in the decade between 2000 and 2010? There's a Pyrenean ibex.
No, fell off something, got up to the top, something couldn't get down.
Something fell on it, or on her, in fact. There was a violent storm on January the 6th, 2000, in northern Spain. Celia. She was the last ever Pyrenean ibex. And the branch crushed her skull, and she died. And the species was declared extinct. But in 2009, 9 years later, she made a comeback, and she became the first cloned animal that had been extinct from a piece of her skin that was preserved in liquid nitrogen. And a little kid was born that lasted only 7 minutes and died. But it is the way forward with extinct species. There are a lot of kind of frozen arks with highly endangered species whose DNA is being kept in the hope that they will be resurrected one day. And there is an example for 7 minutes. Isn't that weird? And talking about things that only show up if you look at them very closely, it's time for general ignorance. So fingers on buzzers, please. Where was Louise Brown conceived? Yes.
In a test tube. Why did it coming out my mouth? Like, you fool.
Louise Brown was indeed the world's first in vitro fertilised baby.
She wasn't.
But it wasn't a test tube, it was a petri dish.
So she's a fraud. She's been telling everybody she's the first
She never
test tube
claimed to
baby.
be.
She's
The
the first
news-
petri dish baby.
The news claimed she was the first test tube baby. There's another Louise Brown, who's 91 years old, and lives in the Stewartry of Dumfries and Galloway, who has a record, we think, in the United Kingdom, which is rather extraordinary. There's no way you could possibly guess it,
It's got to be the oldest, something or other.
Well, she...
Oh, is it too late for this?
No, we definitely know.
We could ask her.
We could ask her if she's still alive. We think she's the most prolific library book borrower in the country. She has read...
That's too much of a leap from
Yeah, it is.
fertilisation.
It just happens to be the same name. She's read just under 25,000 books.
Well, she says that. She's borrowed them.
No, but that... 12 a week. 12 a week, and she's never once had a late fine.
That probably proves that she doesn't read them, the very fact she gets them back on time.
I think it's rather charming. They're mostly Mills and Boon romances, war stories and historical dramas, but that's it, 12
So
books.
Barbara Cartland was writing that many.
Yes, exactly, just for this
Just for Louise to keep reading.
Yeah. I'm going to say if Louise is watching, but she isn't. She's reading a book. But if Louise is we salute her in the world of dying libraries. Where did marsupials come from? Yes.
Marsupia.
It could easily have been the right answer.
Well, they only live in Australia.
Not true. We'll let you off there. They don't only live in Australia. In fact, there are marsupials in the Americas.
Are there?
Yeah. What are they called?
Oh,
They're really
yes.
cute. We'll show you a
They're
photograph
little.
and see if you know them. They're tiny. They're the mammals that have the tiniest
echidna
babies.
type.
That's not the echidna, no.
Oh, well, the finger bobs.
But they look like the clangers.
They really, really do look like finger bobs.
They do look. They are opossums.
I didn't know.
Oh,
I thought...
right.
I didn't realise this. I thought that they were born in the pouch. I didn't realise that they're born
No.
and then they have to crawl up and get in the
Yes.
pouch.
And in the case of the opossum, you could get 20 baby opossums on a teaspoon. They are absolutely minuscule. And the mummy licks her fur to make a line from where they're born, and they crawl up into the pouch, because the babies then develop further in the pouch. But they first began...
But that's bizarre, because I was under the impression, I'm wrong as ever, but I was under the impression that marsupials evolved separately on Australia, because Australia was, like Madagascar, separate from...
No,
other
but like
regions.
Madagascar and like New Zealand and many others, they all originally belonged to a supercontinent, which was known as...
Australasia?
No, it was known as...
Essex.
Someone in the audience will know. Gondwanaland. It's a supercontinent that broke off and is now South America, Africa, and indeed Australasia. We're all part of this supercontinent. And
So the scientists say.
so they say. But in fact, the first marsupials came from the part that is now South America, in fact, that had been Gondwanaland. But they crossed through Antarctica while it was still one continent and into Australia. So there you are. That's your marsupials. Actually originated in an area which is now part of South America. Which brings me to the matter of the scores. And they make fascinating reading. In first place by quite a long way, with plus 10 points, it's Dave Gorman. And speaking almost now like a proud father, with a magnificent 6 points, in second place, Alan Davis. And only just behind with plus 5, Lee Mack. But with a very creditable minus 7, Ronnie Ancona. So, all that's left is for me to thank Ronnie, Lee, Dave and, of course, Alan, and to leave you with this thought from Leo Burke. People who say they sleep like a baby usually don't have one. Good night.